Remember to subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Dive into discussions on current events, cultural insights, and social issues, exploring the vibrant stories and challenges shaping the nation.
Lay is awake, but many communities are no longer sleeping peacefully. A growing security concern is confronting the city groups of young people and adults allegedly operating under the name Operation Brukim Tulait, or OBT. But behind the headlines, there is a much bigger question. How did we get here, and how do we stop this from becoming a normal part of life in Papua New Guinea? Recent police warnings say OBT groups have been operating in numbers, with reports involving breaking and entering, stealing, and armed robberies. Lay police have now warned suspected members and those who harbor or support them that they could face serious consequences. Tonight, PNG Happenings takes a deeper look. What does OBT actually mean? Why are young people becoming involved? What is happening inside our communities? And most importantly, what can Lay and PNG do about it? OBT stands for Operation Brukim Tulait. The term has become associated with a criminal group operating in and around Lay. According to the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, police have identified people allegedly involved with the group in criminal activities, including an attempted armed robbery at 9 Mile in June 2026. The National has also reported concerns about groups of young men involved in OBT-related incidents across Lay. But we need to make one thing very clear. Being unemployed, being young, being poor, or living in a settlement does not automatically make someone an OBT member. Thousands of young Papua New Guineans are struggling to find employment and opportunities, but they are still working hard, supporting their families and trying to build better lives. The issue is criminal behavior, and criminal behavior must be addressed. So why does a group like this gain members? There is no single answer. One factor is youth unemployment and lack of opportunity. Another is urban migration. Lay has experienced enormous population growth over decades. Deputy Prime Minister and Lay MP John Rosso recently said the city was originally built for a population of around 80,000, but now has a population approaching 500,000. That rapid growth has placed enormous pressure on housing, water, power, infrastructure, health services, and employment. Imagine being 18, 20, or 25 years old. You have no stable job. You have limited income. You may have left school. Your family is struggling. You see other people making money illegally. Then someone tells you, "Come with us." That is where prevention becomes extremely important. Because once a young person becomes deeply involved in criminal networks, getting them back onto the right path becomes much harder. Recent reporting has described OBT groups operating in numbers. The National reported groups consisting of around 30 to 40 young men in connection with OBT activity. ABC Pacific also reported that police had linked OBT to armed robberies, break-ins, and killings, and reported that the group was believed to include men and boys, with some reportedly as young as 13. That should concern every parent. Because when children become involved in criminal activity, the problem is no longer simply a policing issue. It becomes a family issue, a school issue, a community issue, and eventually, a national issue. Think about the ordinary lay resident. Someone wakes up every morning to go to work. A mother opens a small trade store. A father drives a PMV. A young person starts a small chicken project. Another person saves money to build a house. These people are trying to survive honestly, But when criminal groups begin targeting homes, businesses, and communities, everyone pays the price. Businesses become afraid to operate. People become afraid to travel. Residents become afraid to sleep. And investment becomes harder. This is why fighting crime is not simply about catching criminals. It is about protecting the ability of ordinary citizens to live, work, and build. There is another worrying development. Some communities have started taking matters into their own hands. In the June 9 Mile incident, community members reportedly apprehended suspected offenders after an alleged robbery, with one person dying and another critically injured following the community retaliation. This tells us something important. People are becoming frustrated. But community anger cannot become mob justice. If we allow communities to decide who is guilty, who should be punished, and who should die, then we are destroying the rule of law we are trying to protect. Police must investigate. Courts must determine guilt. And communities must cooperate with lawful authorities. Lay police have specifically warned residents not to take the law into their own hands and have encouraged recognized neighborhood watch groups to work alongside police. Lay police have now taken a stronger position. Lay Metropolitan Police Commander Chief Superintendent Chris Cunyan recently warned OBT groups that targeted operations would continue. Police say intelligence gathering and targeted raids will be used to identify and arrest suspected offenders. But police have also acknowledged that communities have an important role to play. Residents can report suspicious activity. Community leaders can share information. Neighborhood watch groups can assist, but under proper guidelines and in cooperation with police. This is important because security cannot be created by police alone. Parents have a critical role. If your child suddenly stops attending school, if your teenager starts disappearing at night, if they suddenly have possessions they cannot explain, if they begin associating with known criminals, don't simply ignore it. Ask questions. Talk to them. Know their friends. Know where they are. Know what they are doing. A child who feels abandoned at home can easily look for belonging somewhere else. And criminal groups can offer exactly that, a sense of belonging, identity, and protection. But it comes with a terrible price. A criminal record, injury, prison, or death. We also need to talk about education. Not every young person who leaves school becomes a criminal, but every young person needs a pathway forward. If a student cannot continue academic education, there should be vocational alternatives. Construction, mechanics, welding, electrical work, ICT, agriculture, hospitality, driving, small business, sports, creative industries, technical skills. We need to make young people understand. You have another option. A young person who can see a future is less vulnerable to people selling them a life of crime. And we already know that targeted youth employment programs can work. For example, a recent Lay employment initiative reported that 6 participants from an internship program had moved into full-time jobs after completing work placements. That is the kind of pathway we need more of. But let's be honest, jobs alone will not eliminate crime. We also need accountability, law enforcement, justice, responsible landlords, community leadership, family responsibility, and youth programs. Police have also warned people who harbor or support suspected OBT members that they could face consequences. That matters because criminal networks cannot survive without support systems. Someone provides shelter. Someone provides information. Someone hides suspects. Someone buys stolen property. Someone remains silent. Crime grows when communities tolerate it. Government needs a coordinated strategy, not simply a police operation every time violence happens. We need a long-term lay urban safety strategy. That strategy should bring together police, local level governments, provincial government, lay city authorities, schools, churches, businesses, community leaders, youth organizations, families, and civil society. The objective should be simple. Make crime harder. Make employment easier. Make education accessible. Make communities safer. And give young people something better to belong to. Communities can establish properly recognized neighborhood watch programs. But these groups must not become vigilante organizations. They should observe, report, communicate, protect vulnerable people, and cooperate with police. Lay police have said they intend to work with communities to strengthen legitimate neighborhood watch groups and develop standard operating procedures for them. That is the correct direction. Because community power should strengthen the law, not replace it. To every young Papua New Guinean watching this, your future is bigger than the street. You may not have a job today. You may have failed school. You may come from a difficult family. You may have very little money. But that does not mean your life is finished. Find a skill. Find a mentor. Join sport. Join church activities. Learn a trade. Start a small business. Volunteer. Go back to school if possible. Find another young person who wants to succeed and build together. Don't allow someone else's criminal lifestyle to become your destiny. Lay is not a city that belongs to criminals. Lay belongs to the people who work here. The mothers, the fathers, the students, the workers, the entrepreneurs, the market vendors, the drivers, the teachers, the nurses, the police officers, the churches, the businesses, and the young people who want a future. The answer to OBT cannot simply be fear. It must be law, opportunity, and leadership. The OBT problem should be a warning to the entire country. Because what happens in Lay today can become a lesson for other urban centers tomorrow. We cannot wait until criminal groups become more organized. We cannot wait until more young people are recruited. We cannot wait until another family loses a son or daughter. And we cannot allow fear to become normal. But we also must not label an entire generation of young people as criminals. Most young Papua New Guineans want something very simple. A chance. A chance to work. A chance to learn. A chance to earn. A chance to build. A chance to belong. And a chance to live without fear. So the solution must be stronger than punishment alone. Police must enforce the law. Courts must deliver justice. Parents must guide their children. Communities must reject criminality. Government must create opportunity. Businesses must help create pathways into employment. And young people must understand that there is a better road. Because if we want a safer Papua New Guinea, we cannot only ask, how do we stop OBT? We must also ask, how do we stop our young people from ever needing OBT in the first place? That is the bigger question. That is where the real solution begins. This is PNG Happenings. Stay informed, stay safe, and let's continue the conversation about building communities where our young people choose opportunity over crime. Our communities, our children, our future.
PNG Happenings.